Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning, good evening to other participants in different time zones. My name is Saurabh Gaur. I am a Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Electronics and IT, and I am host for this session on MeitY's Showcase. This session is essentially about talking about the initiatives that have been taken by the Ministry of Electronics and IT in the field of artificial intelligence and other related technologies. I believe we have had some excellent sessions. So by way of introduction, uh, technology is poised to quickly and radically change nearly every sector of India's economy. There is significant economic value that is going to be derived out of deployment of technologies, most notably AI and all the other emerging technologies which are artifacts of AI. And this is going to change the nature of businesses, works, entertainment for millions of Indians. India, with its more than 500,000,000 internet subscribers, is the largest and fastest growing market for digital consumers. But there are challenges to adoption of AI and to adoption of technology, which is uneven among people and businesses. Digital India program has been a transformative initiative by the government of India to present a digitally empowered society and usher in a knowledge economy. We've heard speakers talk about a digital economy of in excess of US $1 trillion uh, being there in the country by 2025, which will be almost 20% of India's GDP. As part of this journey, Minister of Electronics and IT has been firmly involved in furthering the progress of AI, although it is a bit nascent, I must admit. To begin with, we have launched National Portal on AI, which was launched almost during the lockdown, in fact, in May 2020, and it is a repository of AI-based initiatives. It is being done in coordination with NASSCOM, and it showcases all the important initiatives that ministry has been taking in AI and emerging technologies. We also have 51 incubators under the TIDE scheme, which is the Technology Innovation and Development of Entrepreneurship scheme, with different centers of excellence and institutions of eminence across the country. And these incubators have incubated more than 2,000 tech startups over a period of last few years. With NASSCOM, we are also running a Future Skills Prime program, which is essentially about skilling as well as reskilling the existing workforce in AI and ensuring that they are able to upgrade their skills and their employability remains top notch. We have centers of excellence on emerging technologies at Bengaluru, Gurugram, Gandhinagar, and Vishakhapatnam. And these are being run with NASSCOM. And in fact, today we have showcase on the centers of excellence also, where each of these centers of excellence will probably talk about what they've been doing and what has been their engagement with the startup ecosystem, as also with the industry that has been posing their problem statements to them, and they are engaging with the ecosystem to uh, to help solve these problems. India, I'm glad to tell all of you, is a founding member of Global Partnership on AI. In fact, there's a separate session on Global Partnership on AI, where India, along with 20 other nations, has been spearheading the cause of taking the global partnership forward and working on ethical AI, deployment of AI for social empowerment, which is one of the major, which is the theme of this entire conference. So I believe RAISE 2020, the event gives us an opportunity to proliferate the adoption of AI in a socially responsible and ethically conscious manner. It is an opportunity for all of us in MeitY as well as in the entire ecosystem to listen to global leaders who have been advocating AI for all. And as part of today's session, we have some of these leaders from India, which are working closely with the Ministry of Electronics and IT, which are the champions of the respective agencies within the ministry and which have been taking the task of deployment of AI forward. So it is with great pleasure that in the opening speaker sessions, we have Dr. Omkar Rai, who is Director General of STPI. We have Dr. Neeta Verma, who is Director General of NIC. We have Dr. Hemant Darbari, who is Director General of C-DAC. We also have Dr. KV Murali Mohan from Department of Science and Technology, who is heading the ICPS or the Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems Division. And we have Abhishek Singh, who is the CEO of NEGD and who is also essentially the chief organizer and mover in prime of this conference. So we'll be looking forward to hearing from all of them. And without further ado, may I now request Dr. Omkar Rai, DG of STPI, to give his remarks on his engagement through the Software Technology Park of India with the MeitY startup initiatives. He's also hosting the MeitY Startup Hub, which is having engagement with 10,000 startups in deep tech. So over to you, Dr. Omkar Rai.
Thank you, Sri Saurabh Gaurji. First of all, I must say that it's my proud privilege to be part of RAISE 2020, and I must thank Ministry for arranging such a global conference on AI. Uh, Sri Saurabh Gaur has just given the outline of the initiative, also covering the MIT initiative around startups. I would say that the ministry has been instrumental in creating IT industry of India uh, during last 3 decades, and we know that now this industry is a very strong IT services industry with 56% of the global share in the outsourcing market, which has culminated in terms of $147 billion export in year 2019-20. And this industry employs around 4.34 million professionals working at all levels of value chain. And it is said that the most of the R&D that is happening all across the world is actually somehow powered by Indian IT services industry, which has moved up the value chain. Realizing that India hasn't done very well in terms of software product creation, the Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, came up with idea to capitalize on the talent that we have, the IT services industry that we have, and the kind of market we have. So it decided to capitalize on these forces and resolved to make India a software product nation. First of all, we came up with the National Policy on Software Product 2019 with a view to take the Indian software product industry between 70 to $80 billion by 2025, with the tenfold increase in the mind. It was also envisaged in this policy that we will try to make the entire startup ecosystem, software technology product ecosystem, very, very inclusive and cluster based. It was also envisaged that we will also capitalize uniformly all the emerging technologies that are here to offer the wealth and the value and technology that the entire world is now depending upon, with a view to roll out the entire vision that we had under NPSP 2019. First of all, the ministry came up with the Ministry of Electronics and IT Startup Hub in May 2019. And this hub was envisaged to be a single platform for a meaningful interaction of all the between all the stakeholders, and to make sure that this startup hub becomes a platform wherein all the stakeholders are provided with the kind of world class access to mentors, access to capital, access to market, access to standards and best practices. It was also envisaged that this MSH would become the gateway for the startup community of India with the rest of the world. And the best practices, best learnings can be administered all across the incubators. Uh, Apart from that, the ministry also transformed its existing Tide 1.0 version of technology incubation and development of entrepreneurship program, which used to be called a Tide 1.0. And then it was transformed into Tide 2.0 program, which was, as Saurabh Gaurji just detailed, that in predefined 7 areas like healthcare, education, agriculture, financial inclusion, and digital payment, infra and transportation, environment and clean tech, clean energy solution. And it was resolved, it was envisaged that we will have 51 incubators for supporting 2000 startups in another 5 years. Apart from that, the STPI was also geared up to establish centers of excellence, essentially incubators, to make sure that we capitalize on the entire ecosystem with mentors, industry leaders, industry, academia, governments at large, and establish centers of excellence in all emerging technologies, which I am just going to detail, and establish this uniformly across the country. I am very glad to share the audience that we have been able to open 12 such centers of excellence across the country, and we have already planned 6 more centers which will be launched in another 6 months. These centers of excellence are focusing towards data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer vision, Internet of Things, blockchain, augmented reality, and virtual reality. And the sectors that we have picked up so far is fintech, medtech, electronic system development and manufacturing, game tech, autonomous connected electric and shared vehicle, agriculture, and such other sector where all these technologies can be applied. Uh, uh, Typically, all the centers of excellence that STPI is opening is being led by the industry leader, and some of those leaders are present in this dais also, on this dais also, who are leading this entire effort. Very consciously, the entire administrative mechanism, the governance mechanism of these centers of excellence are created in such a manner that they become so professional and flexible, so that we can dynamically lead the entire startup community and meet their requirements. Apart from that, the government of India, Minister of Electronics and IT, also launched a next generation incubation program with the estimated budget of 300 crore, 100 crore rupees for supporting 300 startups in tier 2 and tier 3 cities of this nation is initially. This has the provision of internship grant with 10k rupee, 10,000 rupees a month, with provision of 25 lakhs rupees of risk capital, and establishment of software product security testing lab, so that the young boys and girls of this tier 2 and tier 3 cities of this nation could also participate in this journey of growth, the movement that is taking place in India right now. Apart from that, the ministry has also decided to launch 4 ICT grant challenges to solve the problem that this nation faces today. You all know that it is already so publicized that first of its challenge was launched around finding a VC solution, video conferencing solution, and it has seen a lot of success. We have found an indigenous product in that area. Another launch that is already underway is smart water meters launch. So this is also, we are soliciting young boys and girls to solve the problem that India faces, and in turn we could minimize the import, create indigenous product. 2 more such grant challenges are yet to be launched, and we are in process. Apart from that, to capitalize and leverage the already existing incubator, ministry has come up with a scheme for accelerating startups around post-COVID technology opportunity. We call it SASEC. And in this program, 4 accelerator like IIT Kanpur, IIT Mumbai, IIT KIIT Bhubaneswar, and 4 accelerator at Coimbatore have been approved for sanctioned with budget to support 40 lakhs funding to 40 startups across the accelerators. We know that India has aspired, resolved to become a $1 trillion digital economy. And we strongly believe that AI has to play a major role in that, because AI being such an instrument, such a technology, which is enabling revolution in all sectors of economy. And therefore, very consciously considering this aspect, the STPI has already opened 8 such centers where AI has got the major focus. All these centers of like image at Hyderabad, which is around multimedia, animation, gaming, and entertainment. Neuron at Mohali, which is around artificial intelligence, data analytics, and ML. where co-advanced services around immersive technology, immersive visualization technology, augmented reality and virtual reality, motion in Pune, which is around mobility, autonomous connected electric and shared vehicle, meditech at Lucknow, fintech at Chennai, uh, apiary at a blockchain based center of excellence in Gurgaon, and Octane, which is one of it is in Shillong around animation, and another at Impal around augmented reality and virtual reality. With all these efforts that are being made, we all know that ministry has been running a lot of programs to support the IPR creation, facilitation of IPR, funding to the academic institutions, centers of higher learning, and connecting all the centers of learning through national knowledge network. All these efforts are in a way empowering us to make things happen and to transform India from a software services destination to a software product destination. I'm very glad to be part of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Roy. I believe STPI has been leading the entire MeitY startup hub ecosystem, as well as I think establishing some very state-of-the-art, cutting-edge centers of excellence in all related facets of AI. Now I request Dr. Hemant Darbari, who is DG for Center for Development of Advanced Computing, C-DAC as we popularly know it, to kindly give his thoughts about high performance computing and natural language processing, as well as then probably give a glance of the national supercomputing mission also that he is handling. Over to you, Dr. Darbari.
Thank you, Saurabh. RAISE is a very, very important event which India is conducting now. It's very relevant, and this is the first of its kind event which we are having today. I have been asked to talk about the high performance computing and natural language processing area. What exactly is the MeitY doing, the C-DAC and other societies, and in India, what exactly we are doing. The three things have happened. One, that HPC AI have converged together, because whatever the compute need which was required by AI was not present earlier. And that is now becoming a reality. Storage and compute coming together has made a lot of things possible which was not possible earlier. The NLP again becomes a very important area, because that's how we touch the people. We go closer to the people and understand what exactly they want. We can deliver things in their own language. And that is the need of the country, because India being a multilingual country, we have huge potential for a lot of solutions which we can give to take the things to the next level. So, and this actually is the Atmanirbhar Bharat ki aur ek kadam. There's a leap forward towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the year 2020, we have declared as HPCI converged year. And under National Supercomputing Mission project, we have created a platform which will be made available to the startups, to the industry, to researchers, and all the faculty members across India, even to the world, to take the things on a faster track. So we have Param Siddhi, which is a 20 petaflop system, which will have 3.4 million cores. Similarly, Param Siddhi AI, this will be 100 AI petaflop system, which is 2.5 million cores. And this will be the first of its kind national infrastructure on AI. So our mission is to establish dependable and secure access scale ecosystem, and to design a disruptive technology and with the human resources. To develop hardware ecosystem with the chip, the manufacturing of the access scale server boards, the access scale interconnect, the storage, and all these things are going to be done under Atmanirbhar Bharat, developed in India and manufactured in India. And we have another task, which is to exploit huge opportunity in the system software and high-end software development for make India a global leader in this area, and to develop the grand challenge problem of national and international level. So we have already built many infrastructure. We have 650 teraflop machine, which is been housed at DHUIT, and this is called Param Shivai. We have clocked in something around 4 lakh plus jobs, and this system is been very, very extensively used by in and around the area. And this was launched by Honorable Prime Minister on 19 February 2019. The 1 year period is this type of computers, they are all HPC jobs which have been running. Similarly, the other system, Param Shakti, has been launched at IIT Kharagpur, and ISER system, which is Param Brahma, they are all being very extensively used. These systems, plus the other systems which we are going to deploy across the country, will provide something around 75 odd institutions, will closely work through our NKN, which has been backbone for whole of the supercomputing system. So in the exascale roadmap, you see that we have server boards, we have interconnect, the processor, and the system software libraries, and exascale storage. All these things will be developed in-house in India, and we'll also work on HPC AI converged accelerator. So there are 3 phases in which the NSM was working, and we have, in the first phase, we have already deployed these systems. In the second phase, we have manufactured in India, and now we are ready with our board, which will be designed and manufactured in India. That's Rudra board, and this system will be the first time we will be having the server being made in India. So this is the board, which is going to be in production very soon. And we have a Trinetra card, which is the network card, and the full software stack is developed by us. Another concept which we have brought in was the supercomputing in a box, and we had 4 variants of that which we have created. One is for HPC, the other one is for deep learning, which is for the AI workload. And in the process, what we have also built a system which can be used for VR purposes. The Param Shakti, which has been used for the bioinformatic area. These systems are all being deployed at various institutions. The education institutions have been very extensively using it, and the full environment which is required for a supercomputer, that is being embedded into the whole system. From the application side, we have many applications which are actually going to be used for the country-specific problems, like for the flood warning system, wherein the prediction of the flood forecasting is done, and the prediction of the how the indentation is going to happen on the river basin, that is to be seen, and that has been worked out by C-DAC. There's a software tool for seismic data processing, or oil and gas exploration, then urban modeling, and these systems are very, very extensively used by the user agencies, and this development is very, very useful for the country perspective. Similarly, in the genomics and drug discovery side, we have a system which we are going to develop for the cancer research, and this system will be deployed at C-DAC, and any researcher or group of researchers, they want to use that to do the furthering the research, that can be very effectively done. So in the system, we have the exascale side, we have molecular modeling and drug design part. We also did a very excellent work into drug repurposing. Like in this system, what the drugs which are already been used in the by the human being right now, those things can be very effectively tried out and do the in silico simulation, so that when you do that, the time taken for drug to reach to the human being, that can be very effectively brought down. So this is the cancer protein which we have worked on, and that drugs which are going to be used into the cancer part, which are being tried and tested onto human being, that can very effectively take to the next level. We have done one more exercise for the COVID-19, and you will be happy to know that 3,500 drug molecules which were there, we have tried out on our system on Param Brahma and Param Shivai, as well as DGX systems. And we could very effectively simulate and see that this remdesivir drug, which we are now seeing that this is a very effective drug for COVID-19, was clocked in by us in as early as April 18th. So this has been work has been published, and we also tried out parallelly onto the Ayurvedic molecules and docking systems, and some very good results are coming into that. And so this is, again, I was trying to say that Ayurveda, which is generally works right now in a belief that this will work, this will be scientific proof that this is possible. So going to the other application, this flood response system. In the flood response system side, again, we have very good simulations and very close to the real data, which is on the ground. So this has been simulated. We have systems which are taking up to a level that three things can be seen at a similar point of time, and you can plan how the people have to move around, how the indentation is going to happen. And similarly, one more project which we did it for the Navy, in which this panorama is the system which we have developed, which is onboard all the ships. Is like a map, a digital map to plan out the ship movement onto the onboard ship. So coming to the AI and language computing side, our mission is to make India a global destination for AI-based product and advanced research in AI, with emphasis on state-of-the-art solution in various domains, including robotics. Our goal is to leverage our 30 years of experience in AI and language computing, and to develop Bahubhashak, that is a speech-to-speech translation system, the IR system for the agriculture, health, education, LEA, legal and banking domain, and to empower, facilitate, and mentor large number of startups and industry leaders to work together and deliver the large solutions for the people of India. So this is the full environment we have created, and this 100 AI petaflop system will be already having all the tools and technologies which are required to be used by the researchers, and we want to take the models and put it there so that the things can be accelerated on and create the part of the solution very, very effectively. As I was just talking about the GPI, which we'll talk in the evening again, there again, we are trying to see how we can share the resources, how we can take the things to the next level on a faster track. So this will become a very good accelerator from research to commercialization. Various portals and those things have been developed, and from this becomes a one-stop shop, wherein the information extraction and retrieval, the machine translation, the HPC and cloud environment, the speech technology, the video and image processing, and all these things can be brought in at one place, and we can take the things to the next level. My solutions which have been provided by TDIL group of MeitY are many, and especially in the area of cross-lingual information retrieval, which was headed by Pushpak Bhattacharya from IIT Mumbai. The machine translation, C-DAC was doing, and Dr. Sangal from IIT Hyderabad. Then these systems are being deployed, and these systems are giving very, very good results. Similarly, in the speech technologies, Dr. Hemant from IIT Madras and the other team have worked for recognition as well as synthesis, and we have got very, very good results. And that is where now we are trying to see that how these things can be used up into various domains. And the e-Vidur is a sentiment analysis for the social media. This has been created by C-DAC, and this is very effectively used into various domains. And you can customize it. You can see how those things can be taken up to the next level, and you can do the sentiment class analysis, negative handling, and domain classification, and it's on a streaming data. Similarly, this AI-based natural translation mission, which has been spearheaded by the principal scientific advisor. This is a system which we are trying to create, which is called Bahubhashak. It's a major effort of MeitY and PSA's office. And all these consortium members are coming together and putting up our whole knowledge and the data and to create a speech-to-speech translation system with the understanding of the speech recognition, machine translation. Speech-to-speech translation will become a real possibility. This system will be very effectively used into various domains, and what we can see in future is that the speech-to-speech translation presents us with a big opportunity and can also be ushering the big business for tourism and aid to doctor to effective conversation with patient either in person or in teleconsultation mode can very effectively use this system. And we have a large number of dialects and languages which do not have any script. So this provides us a huge research opportunity for this area. So I think RAISE has come up to a level that we can work together and try to see how we can collaborate, not only in India, but even abroad, to take the things on a faster track. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Darbari. I believe the contribution of Param series of supercomputers is well renowned in our strategic sectors, especially space and defense. And it is fascinating to see its extension to other sectors like bioinformatics, as well as, let us say, river management and the other host of applications you talked about. There were a few questions about more information to be sought on the Ayurveda related the genome mapping that is happening, the ones on whether these AI libraries are available in public domain. We will be answering to each of these questions by and by, and we'll be sending you more contact information on this. And the point that you made about 100 AI petaflop machines being developed and made available, and C-DAC being a very integral part of our AI mission for the country. We are not just 100 petaflop, but even a 500 petaflop AI machines to be made available by 2025 is something that is expectation in the ministry and by the country as a whole also. With this, now I would request Dr. K.V. Murali Mohan, who handles the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems in the Department of Science and Technology, to kindly give his remarks. Dr. Murali Mohan is not a part of Ministry of Electronics and IT, but he's been specially invited for this session because he's a very integral part of the national program on AI. So over to you, Dr. Murali Mohan, to talk about your technology innovation hubs, the application innovation hubs, and the research paths.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. Saurabh, sorry. So thanks for this opportunity. So I'm thankful for the MeitY and the organizers for inviting me for this the great event. Well, I will divide my introduction into three parts. What at present the Department of Science and Technology is doing in this particular area, and what are the requirements why it has to be done, and what are the plans that we are having in implementing those activities. Well, most of the people may be aware that the Union Cabinet has approved the International Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System. We are referring it as NMICPS. Is a mission for 5 years at a total cost of around 4,000 crores. Now, this mission is spearheaded by Department of Science and Technology, and the other ministries also involved at various levels, and the decision-making process is a very democratic way. Now, what we are doing as part of this mission is establishment of 25 technology innovation hubs across the country that we have done already. Because this is the first year of the mission, we have established these 25 technology innovation hubs. When you say TIH, we have identified 25 foundational technologies which can contribute in realization of cyber physical systems. CPS at the higher level, and these are the foundational and as well as contributing technologies. If you name it, the artificial intelligence, the learning techniques, robotics, underwater vehicles, then you have quantum technologies and sensors, IoT. No, there are 25 technologies. It is available in the DST website. You can see that. These hubs are established at the reputed academic institute across the country. Most of them are IITs and ISRs, and as well as IAC is also there. Now, What is the main philosophy behind this mission, if you look at it? Now, in every forum and every discussions, normally people talk about the industry, academia, and government collaborations. This is the general type of a talk. That is one. And number two is the development of the startup companies. And third is the skill development or human resources development. And the fourth one, how to establish the international collaborative research and how to benefit the innovation that is happening across the globe for the meeting some of the requirements of Indian, the issues. Now, if you look at these are the broad things that every scientific program or the mission normally try to address. Now, not that we are not addressing these things. We are addressing these issues. Like, MeitY has established so many center of excellences. The DST has established around 140 technology business incubators. There are so many skill development programs. There is an international collaborative research. All things are happening in a very, cohesive way. However, what is required is the convergence of all these things to create a technology platform wherein a single source of information, a platform wherein all these ingredients could be pooled together and given as a single, type of a face for the, various stakeholders. That is the main purpose of this particular, the innovation hubs, what we are talking about. Now, when you talk about industry, academia, and government collaborations, there are so many problems India itself is having that we have to address it. So how we will address it? Then we need to have the collaboration from the academia where the knowledge is getting generated. When the knowledge is getting generated, it needs to be translated into a technology product. We need to have industry collaborations. When you talk about industry academia collaborations, now, how it happens, what are the platform, what are the various regulatory frameworks, what are the rules and regulations? Most of them may be available, but it is not very clear about the participating organizations. For example, if you take what is the industry academia, the framework for co-development of a product, what is the IP sharing or monetization of IPs, what is the patenting rules and regulations. So these are some of the issues when industry want to participate or collaborate with an academic year, they will come out with some of things. They are there for creating a product and deployment and commercial interest. So they are not charitable trust. So when you talk about the collaboration, there is a return of investment for a pie which they are to invest. Therefore, we need to have a clear-cut path and roadmap that how the various stakeholders could be able to realize the return of investment and then the various IP rights and then product and deployment. So those are the issues that normally we come across when you want to collaborate with industry and academics. Now, academics are very good. They are doing a fantastic the knowledge creation domain. If you look at a number of publications across the globe, almost India is number 3. That means knowledge is getting created. And then what is lacking is the conversion or the translation of this knowledge into the products. So that is where the main issue. I'm not telling that this type of systems are not available. MeitY has done a lot of experimentation, DRDO, space, other people, they have done fantastic experiments. But we are looking at a framework which can be replicated across the country. So this mission, then NMICPS mission, fundamentally trying to create a technology platform across the country or creating a layer between academic, industry, and the governments. Now, governments will identify, or the line ministry will identify the requirements for the internal usage. Those requirements will be taken up as a technology product development, and then it will be taken up as a research issues, and then a deployable product, a scalable product will be developed by these hubs, and it will be provided to the concerned line ministries. And they may have the commercial viability of these products. Probably the industry in collaboration with academia can take it up and deploy in the industry also, and you can go for commercial. And the human resources development and skill development is the main focus of the mission, is also concentrating on from the polytechnic level, from ITA level, and as well as up to the undergraduates, BTech, MTech, and as well as PhD and postdoc. So every spectrum of this human resources development is being addressed, because the skill level that required at the working level at the developmental level, at the maintenance level, and as well as at the, what you call the research level are different. Therefore, the skill sets also will vary from the level in which the person is operating. Therefore, a modular way of, training these people is taken care of in this mission. So, if you have any specific question, I will be able to answer those things. This is the broad spectrum of this particular mission at a very, very, very macro level. Any have any specific question, probably I will be able to give in detail about those aspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Murali Mohan. It was indeed a very incisive talk that you gave on the developments around the ICPS mission. And in the very first year of the mission, I believe it has come out very strongly to establish the linkages between academia, industry, and the work that we are doing in the government. Now, this takes me to the next speaker for the session, which is Dr. Neeta Verma, Director General of NIC. Dr. Neeta Verma is the first Women Director General of National Informatics Center. She is also the Mission Director of Arogya Setu, which is the app that has been one of the prime, I think, digital response to the COVID. And also, she has many other firsts to her credit, but I'll stop here and I would request her to talk about open data and the data.gov platform that she's been spearheading, with data being such an important engine of overall AI development. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Saurabh. Good afternoon to all. And in fact, it's an honor and privilege to be part of this RAISE 2020 summit. National Informatics Center with its 800 offices pan-India is working with central government, state governments, and district governments, providing them ICT infrastructure, ICT solutions, as well as consulting them on adoption of these new technologies. Realizing the potential of AI and particularly mainstreaming of AI solutions in the last few years, NIC has set up a number of Center of Excellence across India, starting from Center of Excellence on data analytics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and lately we set up on microservices. All these centers are primarily focusing that how these emerging technologies could be applied in government, in the internal functioning of government, how does government, when government manages its programs and schemes, and most importantly, delivery of services to the citizens. But today, as the topic has been given to me on open data, so let me focus on open data. Let's discuss those things some other time. So talking about data, as you know, government by its very nature of its functioning collects a lot of data, right from census, wide variety of surveys, weather data, market data, elections, budget data, and delivery of citizen services. But these data, when collected, is used for a specific purpose for which it was there. But if you look at this data, which has been collected over the years, has a huge untapped potential. This can be used for planning purposes at center and state level, even for urban and rural planning. This can be used for formulation of policies at various levels. This could be a very effective tool for implementation and monitoring of schemes in the government at central and state. This can also be used because now we are with cloud and high-speed networks, NCAN and everything. We are now able to get real-time data. So a lot of mid-course interventions could also be done using this data. This data can be used for generating insights, better delivery of services to citizens, and clubbed with artificial intelligence, it can be used to deliver proactive delivery of services to citizens at the doorstep, as was also given the mandate by Honorable Prime Minister in the opening ceremony of this event. Data is also an oxygen to artificial intelligence, and therefore data clubbed with AI can propagate a lot of innovation, not only in government, but a lot of other domains as well. Government of India had National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy, which was launched in 2012, under which an open government data platform was set up by NIC under the direction of MeitY, which is accessible at data.gov.in. As of today, it has 420,000 data sets available in machine readable format, which have been released in open domain by various ministries, departments across in Government of India. All of these data sets can be consumed through APIs directly, and many of them are being continuously contributed also through APIs, which is application programming interface. It is portal has received around 29 million views, and it has a 4 lakh registered user who are constantly engaging with this portal for various kind of objectives, whether it is research, whether it is data journalism, or whether generating any kind of analytics and insight. Community building is been a key tenet of this program, and therefore we have focused a lot on this. We have done engagements right from its beginning, that means 2012, at a senior level, making them understanding at that time. It has today become far more easier that what is the potential of data, how data is different from the information, so to say, and how it can really be used for a lot of innovative means. And today we are very glad to say that we have around 349, to be precise, chief data officers who are senior officers in various government departments and organizations who are driving data journey of their respective this thing, and also championing the cause of promoting or releasing government data in open format, in machine readable format, which can be used by startups, by industry, or by research and academia, everyone. In these workshop which we do on a regular basis, we focus a lot on data quality, because while we're saying data is going to be an empowering fuel for artificial intelligence, we also have to be mindful that the quality of data has to be focused. Not only it can have challenges in building models. The bigger issue is that it can create biases in the models, and which could be a huge challenge. So we focus a lot on the quality of data to this. We also do a lot of hackathons with academia and with startups, where we have really encouraged them using this data and developing various kind of mobile apps and all. During this process, also some of these startups did wonderful applications and wanted to further commercialize this. To facilitate these institutions, we also have in this portal, when you consume data, there is a government open data license, which is gazette notified, and as a result, you comfortably use this data for commercial purposes. You are only expected to acknowledge the source of data and the contribution. The complete license terms and conditions are already available on data.gov.in, which is a platform. This is a very generic platform. So while we have this, now we are offering this platform to various data-driven initiatives of various ministries. Like Smart Cities in Ministry of Urban Development have wanted to do a specific data portal, where they wanted to kind of focus on the real-time data coming from various smart cities already set up in the country. And using the same generic platform, they have very successfully put in this complete smart cities data portal. Various state governments are also using and building their own this thing. But what we are ensuring underneath platform and standards and interoperability of that data continues, so that as a citizen or as a startup or as an industry, you can benefit by amalgamating or making a combination of these data and do your analysis as and when needed. Going forward, realizing the potential of data analytics, we have now also created the plugins through which this data can be easily consumed in the commercial AI engine, analytics engine, or even the open source AI engine. So if you're using any analytics platform and you want to pull that data from the data.gov.in in a real time while you're doing analysis, so you have those facilities also available on this platform. Because the whole effort is that, as I initially said, that this data has a huge untapped potential. So all our effort is that more it is used, and unlike oil and any other resource, data is more you use, the more valuable it becomes. It is not a depletable resource that we have to worry. So our effort has been that we encourage more and people to use. And I think with this all AI engines available and this genericness of the platform, this open data platform with ecosystem of 350 chief data officers, 4 lakh registered users, proper license for sharing, API driven framework, and powered by NIC Cloud, can play a great enabler in fueling AI driven innovation in government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Verma. Having such a humongous data and making it available to both public at large, as well as to helping develop the public digital platforms by various departments and ministries in Government of India. I think it is a humongous task, and NIC has been completely on top of that. Not just making machine readable data available, but also developing metadata and data standards for them, having a data retrieval, archival policies, putting data fiduciaries in place, and now having a national digital highway through an open API exchange platform. These are some of the other things that NIC has been doing. I thought I'll just mention it in the passing. So some of you might be a bit bewildered about lots of centers of excellence being run by NIC, being run by C-DAC, being run by STPI, which are within the ministry, and then being run by NASCOM as part of support from ministry. India is a big country and we require more such centers, but all of it ultimately converges and comes together with the National E-Governance Division. And it is my great pleasure to invite CEO of National E-Governance Division, Abhishek Singh ji. He is no stranger to this audience today. We've been hearing. He's, like I said, the chief force behind the conference that is spread over next few days. He's also the CEO of MeitY, which is our chief platform for Government of India for engaging with the citizens. So now I request Abhishek Singh sir to talk about India AI adoption strategy, the convergence that is happening through National E-Governance Division, and our engagement through MyGov with the startup ecosystem and public at large. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Saurabh, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to present about India AI on this August panel. We have heard distinguished speakers from Dr. Omkar Rai, Dr. Hemant Darbari, Dr. Murali Mohan, Dr. Neeta Verma, who all are heading organizations who are driving change with the use of technology in various spheres. MeitY has been in the forefront of delivering not only public services, but also enabling the IT industry to find its fitting. And in the last few years, if India is been known as a IT back office for the world, an IT superpower, a lot of credit goes on to the work which is being done by NIC, by C-DAC, by STPI, by Samir, by STQC. All the MeitY organizations have together contributed to help MeitY reach where we are. What we need to do, what we need to work together is how do we consolidate the efforts being made by everyone and try to bring in a direction so that we are able to harness the potential that lies in every field of technology, including artificial intelligence. It's a common knowledge world over amongst the panelists who are present here today and in the audiences who have joined for this conference from world over, that artificial intelligence and emerging technologies are going to be the single biggest disruptors in the days to come. The estimates are well known. There have been analysts who have assessed that AI itself can contribute to almost $15.7 trillion to the world economy. There's an estimation that it may add on to almost $1 trillion AI-enabled IoT from products and services to the Indian economy. So the potential is huge, the opportunity is huge, and India is ideally poised to take advantage of this because we are amongst the number one in the world when it comes to AI skilled workforce who is available, AI startup ecosystem that is available. The Stanford AI Vibrancy Index, which ranked various countries on their AI prowess, ranked India as number 2. And the prime reason for doing that was the strength that we have in our AI skilled personnel and the AI startup ecosystem that we have. Why we are not number one or why we are behind China and United States is primarily because we need to invest a little bit more in our research and in a little bit more on our compute infrastructure that we need to do. So of course, C-DAC is building the next generation of supercomputers, and we hope that once that is done, we will be able to match the world's best when it gives an opportunity to our tech entrepreneurs and our dreamers who are in the colleges to run their algorithms on machines with high capability, because that would be the essence for doing that. The other thing that where we need to invest is to invest more in research, because the amount of funding that we have for AI research in our universities is still not matching what other countries and universities are doing. So how do we provide more funding to our researchers? How do we provide more support to our tech entrepreneurs? And how do we build bigger compute infrastructure? That has to become the key part of our entire AI strategy and approach. When we talk of AI and the work being done by various government entities across the spectrum, as also the industry and also the startups and in the industry, we found that MeitY found that there's a lot of work which is happening. But how do we connect the dots? How do we ensure that whatever is being done in the research labs, the IITs and the triple IITs and the NITs get translated into products which the industry can use it, startups who can work on it, make it better, leverage the data sets that are available in the government in various spheres, and build over-the-top applications for delivering various value-added services. So to bring everyone together, to bring the government efforts, to bring the academia efforts, to bring the industry efforts, to bring the startups efforts together, it was felt that we need to create a platform for the proper exchange of information and sharing of good best practices and sharing of good examples and good stories on a common platform. So towards this objective, the National Portal of AI was set up, which was inaugurated this year by our Honorable Minister, and the URL for the portal is indiaai.gov.in. This event is also being held on the same platform, wherein the race 2020.indiaai.gov.in, wherein most participants here would have gone and registered. So what this portal does is that it has various sections on that portal. It has sections on resources, it has sections on new developments, it has sections on interesting work being done world over. It's shared there. Work being done by Indian startups is showed there. Work being done by various state governments, work being done by various ministries is showcased there. So like, for example, if the Smart Cities project is using AI for AI-based solution for improving transportation or mobility in a particular city, that kind of story is also shown there. Then there are examples in healthcare wherein companies are using AI for image scanning and image reading and helping detect breast cancer. Those stories are shared there. In agriculture, we have seen how data is being analyzed and we are able to give customized advisories to farmers with regard to when they should be sowing the crops, when they should be harvesting, and where should they be selling. So these kind of customized advisories in the language of the choice of the farmer is being sent through various projects that are being done there. If there has been a project in Bihar which was started for flood forecasting, which helped issue warnings to people 48 hours before in the native language, that project used AI technology to scale it up, build it up, and now that project is being scaled to cover the entire country, and all flood affected areas will be covered with that. So these stories are shared there. Advances being made by the frontier technology, that is also shared on the National AI portal. So it provides a melting point of sharing of information, sharing of resources for everyone to take access to. And this Race 2020 event has been a part of that endeavor, that responsible AI for social empowerment. How does academia, industry, startups, and government can come together to have a roadmap for building responsible AI, which has been India's mantra as per our AI strategy, and we scale it up into bigger things like establishing the centers for research in AI, the core that we are talking of, the Eravat, the compute infrastructure that we are talking of, the ICTIs that we are talking of, and the capacity building, which is a very important part of the whole endeavor. The Future Skills program, which MeitY is running, which was also referred to by Saurabh, aims to train almost 400,000 people with AI-related skills. Then the other efforts that are being made, that has also been showcased on the India AI portal, is the work being done by Ministry of Education, in especially ensuring that the children who are studying in schools, they have foundations in data science and AI right from the beginning. As per the new education policy, coding has been introduced as a subject from class 6 onwards, and CBSE has brought in AI as a subject in class 10th and 12th, and the curriculum has been finalized. So the students who are passing out from class 10th and 12th, they will be having basic foundation in data science and AI, and they are the ones who will go ahead and build products that can be used by one and all. Similarly, when we conducted the Responsible AI for Youth program this year, which is still ongoing, about which Honorable Prime Minister also spoke about it in his opening address, that mentions about how the AI course was taught to almost 50,000 students from the government schools, and out of that, more than 11,000 have completed it, and the best ones are going to build their products in the days to come. And many of these students will be a part of an effort which is being made to create a Guinness Book of World Record, wherein the maximum number of students will be taking an AI masterclass at one time. So the effort is that in the next few weeks, we will be conducting a one class in which more than 10,000 students will be taking one AI masterclass at the same time, which will be one of its kind, and it will ensure that we build awareness about it, and we bring together all the efforts which is being made by distinguished scientists in the various institutions and academic universities on a common platform. So that is what India AI does. For more about it, I would request all to go. I would not take more time because the sessions are limited, but indiaai.gov.in is the storehouse of all information that is relevant for every citizen, and all students, everyone should visit indiaai.gov.in and get to know more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek Singh ji, for giving a very vivid description of what is happening on and around India AI, especially on the portal, which is an excellent avenue to know about the latest opportunities, the latest developments, and get online training also, and getting appraised with AI-related technologies. But this brings me to the close of the opening session, where we had keynote speakers from different societies of Ministry of Electronics and IT, which have been playing their stellar contribution to development of AI and digitally empowered ecosystem, and contributing to the cause of digital India. One can go on and on. There are things that we have not been able to talk about, whether it is the centers on data analytics that are where some great work is happening. But I believe in the subsequent sessions, we'll have opportunities to listen to some of the startups who have come out of these centers of excellences and have some great products and solutions. We will also speaking to the mentors of some of these centers. So with this, I thank all the distinguished keynote speakers for the Ministry of Electronics and IT's showcase session as part of the Responsible AI for Social Empowerment RACE 2020 event. Ministry of Electronics and IT remains committed to engage with all the other ministries and departments of Government of India to further strengthen their own initiatives and deploy AI as a workhorse in their ecosystems that they are developing around their own functioning. With this, I'll close this the opening session, and may I now request Mr. Subodh Sachan to take us through the next session on with the topic government industry collaboration through centers of excellence. We have a great panel lined up for this session. We have, like I said earlier, some of the chief mentors of the centers of excellence and other champions in this field. So over to you, Mr. Subodh Sachan.
Thanks a lot, Saurabh Gaurji, respected Director General DG STPI, Director General NIC, Dr. Neeta Verma ji, DG C-DAC, Dr. Murali Mohan ji, Abhishek Singh ji, and Saurabh Gaurji again. Namaste and good afternoon to everyone. And I think as Saurabh ji has said, the next 40 minutes or so, we are going to deliberate on government industry collaborations. Friends, I think as we know, today we are the third day of RACE 2020, a global AI summit organized by Government of India, which has seen, as told by earlier by Saurabh ji and Abhishek ji, this in partnership with industry and collaboration in this platform. Almost 140 plus countries are participating, more than 70,000 plus registrations, and a lot of people are actually watching this. This has been very, I'll say, as a platform which is meeting of minds and exchange of ideas, which are actually not just showcasing what is happening, but also will pave the way for AI-powered social empowerment, inclusion, and transformation in the very, very foundational areas like agriculture, healthcare, education, smart mobility. Today, we have, as Director of Startup and Innovation Promotion in Software Technology Parks of India, it is a matter of great honor and privilege to bring the esteemed panel to the August global audience today on this specific track on government industry collaboration. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Saurabh Srivastav and Mr. N. Krishna Kumaran, Mr. Biren Ghosh, Mr. Arun Jain, and Mr. Shashidhar Reddy. I think in the last 60 minutes, we had deliberations with respect to various MeitY's initiatives and also initiative DST. And I think in the next 40 minutes, our idea would be to deliberate on the very specific track of startups. Well, I know AI, as we understand today and in the future, is going to ride on the very core 4 pillars. One is data, which DG NIC spoke about, and also the talent, which I think Dr. DG STPI spoke about in terms of India talent. But it's also important that various AI companies, various startups with working on the AI are able to nurture, create new innovations based on this data and the talent and combining them, and also enabling government policies. We're probably going to enable a lot of new solutions. With that in mind, let me now invite, because as I think DG sir said, and under his leadership, we are already opened up 12 Center of Excellence within STPI. Out of those, 8 are already working within the space of artificial intelligence and nurturing startups within AI. And all of these are working on these core areas like healthcare, agriculture, smart mobility, and education. With that, let me now invite Dr. Saurabh Srivastava. Dr. Saurabh Srivastava is a well-known serial entrepreneur, inventor, and institution builder. He is a founder of India Angel Network. He's a co-founder for and former chairman of NASSCOM, India Venture Capital Association, TIE NCR, NASSCOM, various such institutions. He's also the chief mentor of 2 very, very important STPI Center of Excellence. One is Medical Tech Center of Excellence in Lucknow, and other which is proposed and which is upcoming already is Smart Agri Center of Excellence in Patna. Padma Shri Dr. Saurabh Srivastava has earlier founded and chaired IIS Infotech, and which has been ranked top Indian software companies in past. He has been serving various government committees, and in fact, he has been a very, very guiding force when we are talking about medical technologies. And sir, we would like to hear, because medical technology sector and agriculture technology sector, these are very important sectors, and especially very important because we're talking about social empowerment today in this platform, right? With that note, sir, I would like to request you to share your thoughts, opening thoughts, especially on these 2 sectors. And also, sir, if you can talk about various opportunities as a startup, because you're also very investor in this space, right? And what opportunities are available, and what challenges startups really have when they really want to scale up. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Subodh, and it's a pleasure to be here on this panel. I will try and be brief. We have a number of speakers, but let me just start by saying that what is happening today in technology, particularly AI, is very, very important for India. There was a lot of talk about AI and robotics creating a loss of jobs. Some of it may be true overseas. In India, I can only think of one phrase, which is AI for good. Because in India, we have massive challenges in healthcare, in education, and in agriculture. I am not talking of all the other places where startups are building unicorns. Let me pick up the places where India has challenges. We have the lowest agricultural productivity in the world. We have maybe a third as many teachers as we need. And as we all know, the vast majority of our citizens don't have access to affordable quality healthcare. The only solution to this is through technology, where AI is going to play a phenomenal role. So I commend what's happening within the government, setting up these centers of excellence, setting up incubators, creating ways of funding. It is absolutely fantastic. This is what we need. Massive grassroots movement where government, industry as a whole, large industry, startups, and angel and VC investors come and play a role, because the opportunity is absolutely massive. The only limit is our imagination. Now, it's not that we didn't have AI in some form earlier. 30 years ago, when I was working in IBM, we used to have things called expert systems that were kind of what you might say AI does today. But at that time, we didn't have big data. We didn't have the tools to analyze them. And we didn't have the processing power to do it in real time. As those converge, we have something now which is a very different animal. So maybe what I could do best, a lot has been said, I was listening earlier, a lot has been said about what government has done, C-DAC, NIC, many other organizations are doing, how government and industry can collaborate. Maybe I should give you some examples of what's already happening, what startups are doing today and getting funded. And that gives you a sense that this has arrived. This is not something that we are talking of for the future. You know, for instance, there's one startup which has taken AI. So they have a lot of data scientists, AI ML specialists. They have a lot of space scientists from ISRO. They're only about agriculture. So they are able to tell a state government that when there is damage to crops, what compensation should they pay? What is that damage? So they use AI to do that entire analysis. What is being grown? What is the damage? What would be the value? And they're doing it today. And many of the state governments have long-term contracts they're paying. So in terms of when crops are insured, this is the company that can tell you how that should work. It's absolutely fascinating. I spent a day with them. It's fascinating, the combination of knowledge, experience, and technology in AI they have been able to put together. And they can predict it with an accuracy that was simply not possible. There's another AI again in agriculture, which is basically, again, largely through space technology, AI, etc., able to map farmers' zones in remote areas. Which are the boundaries? Who has been farming this? How many years? What are they growing? Issues on soil. They are creating a situation where the farmers are not the ones who are paying. The insurers, the people who sell seeds, fertilizers, all of them want this data. They are paying. And the farmers are getting a lot of that information for free. They're not spending any more than they would otherwise. And they're leveraging all kinds of technology, including space and AI, in providing that solution. These are real companies. They exist today. There are companies in the healthcare space, and maybe I should mention one in COVID, which is using AI to monitor many of your parameters right now to predict whether you are COVID positive or not. A non-invasive test. And they're looking to do it through the eye. They're still in an experimental stage, but they tell me they're getting to almost a 70-75% accuracy. Now imagine the digital thermometer that we use to say whether somebody should enter a flight or not, as we all know, is worthless. People are asymptomatic. They wouldn't have fever. What if you could use this technology at airports? How easy would it be to open offices? Completely an AI play. There's another AI which is working on the fact that when you look at the eye, there's one set of eye specialists. Firstly, all doctors can't look at the eye. You have to go to an ophthalmologist. Within there's one set of people who will be specialists on retina. One will be on cornea. There'll be a third that look at glaucoma. They're all different people. They all look at the same eye. They're trained to only see a few things. But none of them see 99% of what they can see in the eye. They're not trained to do it. But today, using AI and big data, there are things you can predict through an eye examination that you would normally have had to do very many things to do. Again, it's a real company that's working on it. There is already a company in Bangalore which does pathology much better than most pathologists, which has been VC funded. It simply doesn't need slides, it doesn't need reagents. It just takes a small pinprick and piece of blood. And through tech and AI, it can predict what pathologists would do in a far more difficult way. There's another company, for instance, which is looking at languages. Now, today, we have a vast majority of our country is not literate. They can talk, but they have multiple dialects in the same language. Take Hindi, multiple dialects. How do you get a system to understand all those dialects and work with them? Very important for banks, as banking goes digital. That's what they're doing. They're creating that ability of different organizations to talk to the vast majority of our country for different reasons. So I could go on and on something like this. There's already another company again in medical technology that is essentially creating artificial liver, artificial cornea, largely through analysis, right? Because of COVID, they've already started work on lungs to see how they can regenerate that. There's one with medical technology which says when you get a cataract surgery, you don't quite know what the power of your eye will be when it's done. You know roughly, but not quite. They can make it precise. They can make that vision 20 by 20. All Indian startups, lots of them are there because of government. They were involved in some accelerator, some incubator, they got the initial funding, they got the support, they were able to come up to a point where they could attract the attention of angel investors and VCs. So the ecosystem is actually working, is what I wanted to share today. I personally have been involved in all the startups that I'm talking about. I know the founders, we've made investments, I know the details of the technology, I've talked to the specialists. All of this is real. And none of this would have happened if we hadn't had the kind of ecosystem that we have built and are building between government and industry. Because all of them, before they can get to an angel or VC, need to have been mentored in a different way, funded with some money which is not for profit, which is very long term. And then they can get into angels who are still, I would say, easy investors, and then to VCs who are tough investors. So that path is something we need to build. It's there. All we can do is improve on it. So I didn't want to say very much more, but to say that the reason why I'm delighted to be involved in the institutions that Subodh ji mentioned is because I think they are doing phenomenal work. It's very critical for the country. And at the other end, I'm seeing the results of it in terms of what it's producing. And so therefore, it's a very worthwhile activity. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for having me here, and a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Thanks a lot, sir. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. No, I'm sure, we have, always gained from the interaction, whatever we had with you in several times in the past. Today, I'm sure the audience would have been able to gain a lot of, aspects, especially as you rightly said, sir, that the AI, and especially the power of AI and its impact in the various sector and very genuine use cases which are already happening is something which has already arrived. And I know for sure that all the startups, more than 50 plus, and I'm sure the number would be growing, which has been already been supported by you in terms of funding. You have been very closely involved, and I think that's something which is within our ecosystem of collaborative center of excellences, which has been under leadership of Dr. Omkar Rai and your leadership as a chief mentor in these two centers of excellence we are trying to create. And this collaborative model where industry associations, industry leaders, the academia and the government are going to play that role, so that the enabling ecosystems are, as you spoke about, we are trying to build, and I'm sure we will have a lot of such examples coming in future. So thanks again for giving such a time. I know you have been not so good on health part, but thank you, sir. I'll definitely request you to hold on till the end, but as long as you can stay on the session. With that note, let me now switch over from healthcare and agri-tech sector to an important sector of financial technologies, right? And this sector, so on this sector especially, let me have a pleasure to have Sri Arun Jainji, who's Chairman and Managing Director of Intellect Design Arena. He's also founder and ex-chairman and CEO of Polaris, ex-CEO of Polaris Consulting and Services Limited. He is the chief mentor of STPI FinBlue, the first of its kind fintech center of excellence, which STPI in collaboration with MeitY and state government of Tamil Nadu has established in Chennai. Intellect Design Arena is a full spectrum banking and insurance technology product company, has been serving across very core sectors and creating products, the indigenous product from its global center of development in Chennai, whether it is core sector of banking or whether it is risk, treasury, markets. And I think there are a lot of areas where Intellect Design has a great insight right now and a product there. But it's also about design thinking philosophy, which Arun Jainji has been always taking forward. So, sir, I think you have been guiding institutions like STPI within the FinBlue, and also recently you've been appointed chairperson of the Board of Governors of Indian Institute of Technology, Ranchi. So I'm sure both the audience, which is the students as well as the entrepreneurs, are looking forward to have your thoughts on the financial sector, especially again because the fintech sector, when we talk about AI, right, and we talk about social inclusion, we talk about financial inclusion, right, and this financial inclusion is not going to be complete unless the technology comes into play, because there are new models which are evolving, there are new customer segments which are coming up. I don't know whether somebody talks about today the millennials or the Gen Zs, right? They are looking for new banking solutions, right? There are new solutions which are required to cater to the new segment at one end, and the second end is getting all those unserved and underserved segments of the society within the financial inclusion. So, sir, we would like to hear your thoughts how FinBlue especially is also creating models around the maturity, because you have been talking about startup maturity models, and you've been talking about the benchmarking of the startups. And when it comes to models like AI, it's more and more challenging. So, sir, over to you to hear to your thoughts. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Subodh. I must appreciate the kind of a knowledge and the ecosystem which is getting built by MeitY. Must congratulate it, and the openness with which government is sharing the data is a starting point for AI or any other system. So if I look at a fintech system, I see two ways in fintech ecosystem. One is immediate West, or look at India and into two major segments or two different countries. One is Bharat or other is India, which is being called in many places. If I look at the Bharat part of it, which is around 2/3 of the population of the country, around 900 million people live in this country. This 900 million people, access to the financial is close to 24% of 50% is the interest rate on which they get the capital, just because they don't have a benchmarking of the data available about them. But if you look at the India as a whole, this is a 900 million people population, which is almost 2.5 times American population. If you look at the potential of this population itself alone, it's a multi-trillion-dollar economy. At least the 1 trillion economy, even if the per capita income of the rural economy is $1,000 per capita income, which is a low-hanging objective. With the system, if I connect the 3 dots in today's session, first is by C-DAC, trying to build up a framework of AIs, with the DG NIC, trying to build up data.gov.in, which is there, and then using the STPI network, which is already there, and the startup ecosystem. There's a big opportunity of understanding the quality of the data. To me, data has 3 levels of the data in AI. When we run at Intellect, we say there is a level 1, which we say information grade data. The data is useful for information. That is the level 1 of data. Second level of data is knowledge. You convert information to knowledge, and that becomes a knowledge data. And knowledge database is about putting the data into frames so that data sets can be there. Those become knowledgeable data. And now the third level of knowledge, a third level of data, which gets very, very important and useful, is decision grade data. Now, decision grade data requires the accuracy of over 95%, while knowledge based data maybe accuracy maybe 90%, and information based data can be at 70% accuracy. So as you move from 1 grade to 2nd grade to 3rd grade, the value of the data multiplies. As you say, data is a new oil. So information is something like when you have a crude oil, but when you get into decision grade data, that becomes a value. If I analyze the India fintech, we are looking and copying and imitating the Western world and creating the startup ecosystem, which is built based on the problems we are solving, which is solved in the Western world, and copying and replicating in India. But India, if you look at each district in India, around 650 districts, have a fundamentally very different perspectives, different problem to solve. So STPI, with so much reach all over India, needs to look at, we can participate in that startup ecosystem. So my view on startup ecosystem is that each district, if 650 districts, even if 650 districts have a commonality, we can create 100 zones in India, which are basically having a different geo data, psychographic data. You can't compare a panchayat in Punjab to a panchayat in Kerala, or panchayat in Jharkhand and panchayat in Bihar and panchayat in Chhattisgarh. They have a fundamental different demographics. And if you want to look at a financial inclusion to each of them, we need a very fine-grained data input for making certain decisions, certain quality of decision, and connecting multiple dots, which Saurabh ji was mentioning on the startup ecosystem, where they are looking agriculture, behaviors, all the data processes are there. But this has to reach to the decision grade data. So on one side, we need to build up a large ecosystem, which is a quantity, which we need to educate the people in schools and colleges and encourage startup ecosystem. On other side, we need to look at it, whether the industry can start using it for making the decisions for the next decision which is required. And for that, we need other issue, that buyers. If government is the biggest buyer, how the government will ensure that what they are buying is of high quality. So then we need a benchmarking of the organization, benchmarking of the fintech. Today, the system of government purchases are driven by RFP-based system, which is naturally, it has to be RFP-based system. It's a global system through which you can purchase anything. But unless I have a benchmark, while in this RFP, you will have a minimum criteria of certain numbers, that it's a 100 crore company or 500 crore company, or some benchmark, some of that base, so which promotes only large companies to come into the participation of government procurement, because this ecosystem can work when government procure it and government can simplify it. So one of the proposal, FinBlue is creating a FinBlue maturity index, like a CMMI index, where we look at the product and look at on 7 dimensions of the product, we can evaluate around customer experience, around operations, around performance, around analytics, around risk take capability, around integration, around security of the product, and then benchmark with the IITs and other academic institution on the rating of the startup ecosystem, so that government can define that for this I need a score of 700 out of 1000 score if you have to qualify for this RFP or if you qualify for this system. So that's the one thing we are having a task force working in FinBlue. We'll be recommending this policy to the government to look at it, that how the benchmarking can be done at national level on the startup, so that procurement systems can then start picking up this innovations which Saurabh ji was mentioning on a much more conducive way, much more, it could be put on GEM portal and it could be purchased because you have a benchmarking available on it. So that's a one part of it. Second part of the thing is that all the startup ecosystem, what I am finding is that as of now is still urban based. Our mentorship system is still substantially urban based system. So problem which is coming up, we are solving is urban problem. We are not still solving a large economic problem of connecting the agriculture which sits in a villages and which sits in a panchayat and to the real outcome which can be impacted in connecting the village chain to the market chain and the wastage which happens from village chain to the market chain. Today, highways are available, which is very, very good infrastructure which is there. So every village is not more than 2 to 3 hours away from any nearest highway. I think a lot of fintech ecosystem or other startup ecosystem we need to, or medtech ecosystem has to work in together, because the unit of panchayat is a single unit which has got a 5,000 people or 10,000 people, which requires a healthcare, which require education, which require finances, which require livelihood, which require through input in the agriculture. Now there are 5 line department work for that panchayat, and if there are 5 startups start working with them, I think farmer gets confused. We need to bring and connect the dots into a aggregation of the startup ecosystem for reaching out to them, so that my cost of reaching out can be significantly different for this, and my startup ecosystem viability becomes better, because to the same community I can reach to the simplified system. And we need to have a local entrepreneurs in each district. And how do we promote local entrepreneurs in district level, even at a block level? I think that's a challenge right now. We need to have a more dialogue around it. How do we connect it? And so with this, I would say that the things are just beginning in startup ecosystem, but still at a city level and urban level. And we have to cover a lot more miles to go on this particular journey. But the government infrastructure which is available now, which will be clearly providing impetus to the entire thing. And if the AI technologies which is being nurtured, or 25 technology which is being nurtured in various academic institutions, if those are now getting available in some shape and form by removing some of it to the open source kind of a system, rather than getting into the IP and the monetization by the government, I would say it can accelerate the entire ecosystem much faster. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Subodh ji, and this platform for addressing as well as understanding what the overall initiatives of other sectors are there. So it's a good listening for me.
Thank you, Arunji. I think the importance of data capital, and especially how the data from information to knowledge to decision-tree data as an important parameter, and also in terms of maturity index, which you talked about, so that the solutions can be adopted, is something which within FinBlue we are going to pioneer, and I'm sure other these will impact the larger audience and probably the inclusion part, as you said. On this note, thank you again. And on this note, I would like to get Mr. Biren Ghosh before I get to Natarajan Krishna Kumarji from the aspect of financing. But let us cover another very, very important sector. This important sector, which Biren Ghosh as a chief mentor for Gaming Animation Center of Excellence in Shillong and and Emerging Tech ERBI and Imphal is representing, and also Biren Ghosh is the head of the Technicolor for India. He is credited with creating a world-class studio India, and also working on various initiatives within the animation industry. Today, animation industry and the industry which is powered through AVGC and mixed reality is not just entertainment based industry, but also a very important driver for the education, which is also one of the theme for this RAISE 2020. So with that note, let me now invite Sri Biren Ghoshji for his special address. Over to you, Birenji.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to people all over the world. It's a real honor and pleasure to be amongst the luminaries that have already spoken and good friends and industry colleagues that will follow. I'd like to start by giving you a snapshot that while I was coming on to speak, I thought of my own caption for RAISE, which is reimagine AI through imagery, simulation, and experience. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about very briefly. I come from a company that is 104 years old, so it's slightly older than me. And we have learned one thing, that technology drives creativity as creativity drives technology. And I'd like to just give you a very quick snapshot that came out 1 week ago of our industry. There are very few industries, if you look at digital OTT, if you look at the animation, VFX, and post-production sector, and if you look at gaming that even has got a nod recently from our Prime Minister, that there are very few sectors that grow at this exponential rate. And it tells you that Digital India is alive and very much driving the future at this sector also. The next slide here will show you that there are, this is a bit of an anomaly because of post-COVID, the numbers look higher because it's dipped down this year, it'll go up next year. But I wanted to tell you that the initiatives that I am proud to be working with, both within my organization, with industry bodies like CII and FICCI and NASSCOM and others, but also with MeitY and STPI in trying to actually create social change in the Northeast, in Shillong and Imphal, are driven exactly in the sweet spot of what we are seeing happening here. So the good news for us is that half of this turnover that you're seeing over here will be coming from the advertising business itself, as it has grown. And the rest will have to come through the alternate models of subscription and so on. We've come through 2 rounds of challenges for the first batch of people that are coming into the COEs in the Northeast. And we've seen a really, really good uptake from the people coming in from that area. As was mentioned earlier, I'd like you to focus on the bottom 2 numbers here. So I think when we look at AI, I think we are talking at one level of the enterprises like ours that do a lot of stuff with it, with software and hardware and kind of all that stuff. But I think there's and it was mentioned, I think, by both the previous speakers, that I think when we look at the digital mainstream, the people just coming into the mobile-led digital access story, we have about 500 million people there coming in there. And right at the bottom of our pyramid, there's a 35 million that I think was talked about, where agriculture and education and healthcare and other areas can really come into their own. So what is it that this industry is really driving? And I would like to just say that from the point of view of the second box there, today, as you know, the industry for live action production of content has been crippled by COVID. And what's happened is, as in all such situations, innovation comes to the fore. And technologies that were hitherto gaming or game engine driven are now driving the way in which all movies and TV and other forms of content creation will be driven in the future. And there are many companies like Unity and Unreal that are really coming to the forefront in making that happen. Now, in all of the software and hardware that we employ across our space, in AR, in the virtual production using gaming today for all kinds of content, there is the component of artificial intelligence, and I'll go further into that as we speak. So this is a great example of where we brought together tools and technologies that have been learning over time how to mimic nature. And we are proud to say that actually this was a jaguar, an animal jaguar, that was created by us in the studio when we were creating a campaign for Tata's Jaguar Land Rover. And if I had time, I would show you how every muscle, how every bone, how the anatomy, how the fur, how the eyes, everything kind of comes into its own. And I think this is not just going to inform our industry, but this is the way that we see all industries, being driven forward. To give you an idea of, we talked about data today, and we talked about many things. So the movie The Lion King, which came out last year and won us awards everywhere in the world, give you an idea of what goes into making one single movie. 240,000 photos get captured before purely for reference, right? 66 sets are created that covers 150 square kilometers. That's about bigger than Bangladesh or Korea. We made about 921 key species, right? This is mimicking nature again. You got 42 hours, 53 minutes of reference footage. You got 847,000 dailies. So this is data. This is data at on steroids, and I think that's really the kind of there are 100 billion blades of grass. We do that also for, when I heard earlier the presentations about what we're doing for predicting what happens with river basins and so on and so forth. These are exactly the same tools and technologies that we use to create something like this. So effectively, what we are doing is we're trying to find out what every one of us on this call, government, industry, scientific research, is looking for, which is to avoid the natural, fluctuating, often unpredictable aspects of the human brain and find ethically and socially relevant ways for us to overcome that through AI. And let me tell you, we create about 50%, I think we create more than 50% of the world's ads for cars. And guess what happens? We created something here, which is an artificial car. We can increase and decrease the wheelbase. We can change any engine or gearbox to the actual, but just through computers, setting it to any car in the world. There is a LiDAR scanning, 360-degree scanning device on top. And now we create cars that are not even prototypes, because we have to create the imagery and the simulation around the car of the future. This is a research tool, this is a promotion tool, it's a communication tool, but guess what? It stops us from getting hundreds of cars from hundreds of manufacturers and doing some things like this. When I saw the challenge round, when we were looking at judging the various entrants into our potential COE candidates in the last couple of weeks, we're seeing people come and talk to us with these kinds of technologies for drones. We're seeing people come and talk to us for absolutely precision medical surgery education. So the tools and technologies of imagery and simulation are not restricted to our industry. I'll just spend a minute on gaming because it's really a hot topic, and just look at what's happened in the last few years, and the COVID has actually sent that through the window. This is the fastest growing segment in India. That today, I'm just giving you a snapshot for entertainment, but today we are seeing the gamification of everything. So really what I wanted to lead into is that we've won many, many awards, but why and how has this happened? In our little studio in Bangalore here, which is not that little anymore, we have something like over 50,000 cores of computing, right? We talked about computing earlier on and big data. And there is no big data play in an industry that gives us information at the speed at which we create it in our industry. And if I was to actually take the example of what we do, if you hyper-thread virtually all those cores, we have more than 100,000 at play. So typically when I get invited to high performance computing conferences, I'm the guy from this industry sitting together with all the scientific researchers and everybody else on other fronts. Images will always remain, in our brain. And if you look at this, forget my entire presentation. The fact that something is moving on your screen is going to make you remember this image for a long time. And I think that's really what we are trying to do with all of the stuff that we create. So I wanted to end on a couple of notes. One, that this is not about entertainment and animation. This is very much technologies that we create. If you look at the right side in The Lion King, that is not a real animal, and that is not a real terrain, that is not a real background, and that is not real lighting. But if you can find the difference in any part of that movie, hats off to you, because we really work very hard in order to create that. So simulation, imagery, and the tools of artificial intelligence is what we want to take from our experience in one industry and work across the several categories in this very exciting journey. I've learned a lot today, and I'm hoping that I've been able to fire your imagination, that if you write to me, contact me, many of you know me, happy to continue this conversation. Amazing event. Thank you very much, Dr. Rai, Subodh, and all the distinguished members of this panel. A real honor and pleasure to be here. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks a lot, Birenji. I'm sure the inspiration, especially the world of creativity and the massive opportunities which are coming in this world of creativity, is something which startups would really watch out for. The potential which you spoke about is something which is very interesting. On this juncture, let me now invite Mr. N. Krishnan Kumar. Mr. N. Krishnan Kumar, industry veteran, a leading authority, doesn't need any introduction. But sir, it's a pleasure and honor to have you. You have co-founded MeitY way back in '99. That's when I started my career, in Bangalore. So I've seen the growth of MeitY and especially the leadership which you have given, and especially the focus which you have brought in developing, the key human manpower and skilling part. But in last couple of years, you've been very, very active on AI ecosystem, and this ecosystem where you're funding, and looking into a lot of startups. So, sir, with that, given this AI is going to be a massive wealth creators, even for startups, we would like to hear your thoughts on this special occasion of this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Subodh. It's a pleasure and an honor to be associated with the Race 2020. And I think it's at a very important juncture that such a wonderful initiative has been initiated by MeitY and all the collaborating partners. I just want to make a few observations on the size of opportunity and how, as an ecosystem, we are really gearing ourselves to leverage this big opportunity. World Economic Forum released, I think, a research report about a year back, indicating that artificial intelligence will add $30 trillion of economic value in the next 10 years. What is interesting to note is that a lot of this economic value will really be generated through right deployment of technology, and technology will play a very key role in that. Just to bring into context the size of the opportunity at a global level, today the Indian IT and BPM industry, which is about $177 billion, and I think we are clearly world leaders in that space. But if you think of out of the $30 trillion, there is going to be at least 10 to 15% of spend which will be technology driven. The opportunity globally in delivering the value which AI can really generate is going to be much larger than the IT services BPM industry, which over a 20-year period, we have built to a world leader status and 177 billion in size. So while the market opportunity is large, I also want to bring in an element of why it is at this point in time, we are at the right place and right time. See, enterprise technology is in a phase of transition. We had a phase of enterprise technology which is very centralized in nature, where mainframes were the heart of enterprise technology and individual applications were there. From that, we moved on to the client server technology, where you got into almost more what you call the integrated applications, ERP like SAP and Oracle. Two, we have transitioned on to enterprise technology, which is far more customer or front-end centric. And the evolution of cloud and AI is going to drive the technology infrastructure and solution infrastructure to what you could call as very vertically specialized applications. And that is what is going to provide a huge opportunity for many of the startups. Because I think the landscape of enterprise technology is going to change dramatically. And that's going to give a new opportunity for a lot of startups out of India. So I think the opportunity spectrum is going to be substantive. We need to think of the global market as really the market which the Indian startups leveraging AI are going to address. And just to give you some of the examples which could, I think both Saurabh and Arun gave a very good perspective in terms of what the opportunities are. But if you are to talk in terms of some of the real opportunities which are already there today, I think there are enterprises which are addressing global markets in spaces like retail. And already these companies are becoming globally competitive, leveraging technology which is built out of India for global markets. And some of the unicorns which are there in the context are companies which have over the last 5-6 years leveraged technologies like AI to become more global markets. Or even if you think in terms of challenges of India and how do you really solve them, there are startups which are really addressing. We talked about agri-tech. There is a company which is building technology on how to use drones and leverage software and AI to ensure that more precision agriculture happens. And this type of technology can easily be taken to global markets. And I think we've got a good basic foundation set up through the national AI policy, which clearly talks about how do we leverage AI for more inclusive economic growth. Coupled with that are policies like the Digital India, which is driving adoption on a much larger scale. So I think we should leverage some of these foundational elements to start thinking of this opportunity more from how do we become the global leader in really capturing some of these opportunities. From the perspective in which I am in, I think growth capital is really not a constraint. Today in India itself, there are close to about 100 plus funds, the corpus of probably 20 to 30 million dollars, which are willing to put in risk capital to make these startups become of a scale level. And today, the next level of funding where VC funds, which can invest probably in each company 20 to 50 million dollars, that is also available. So I don't think the capital is really a constraint for these startups to, in a way, think aggressively of going global and really building up things. The NASSCOM report on investments in AI and related technologies indicates that last year 150 million of risk capital was invested primarily through domestic VC funds, which itself is very encouraging. And some of the initiatives which NASSCOM has done, like the Deep Tech Club, which really identifies companies which are leveraging some of the new and emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, AR, VR, or quantum computing, and really through very strong mentorship, help them build sustainable businesses. So we have a very good ecosystem around that. I would like to end with saying that there are 3 potential areas which we need to act, because the theme of this conference itself is how do we enhance collaboration between government, the industry, and the centers of excellence. I think the first thing is really how do we encourage increase in R&D spend so that whatever infrastructure we have created, leadership we have got, to sustain that leadership, we need to increase R&D spends. And here again, if you just look at data, markets like US and China spend between 2.7% and 2.4% of their GDP on research in new and emerging areas like AI, whereas that number in India is around 0.7%. So can we leverage the COE infrastructure which have been created, provide them grants to do basic research, which can then be leveraged by the industry and startup ecosystem? And here I've been very actively associated with the COE in Bangalore, which is on data and artificial intelligence. And there are good role models available. Sanjeev and his team have done a fabulous job on that. So can we try and increase the R&D spend? The second thing which I'd like to leave as a thought is, I think the big difference in terms of getting some of this emerging technologies like AI embedded in enterprises is to provide cross-disciplinary training, because problem solving here is not unidimensional, it is going to be multidimensional. So can we from the government really provide opportunities to give more platforms for cross-disciplinary training is the second area where I think we can collaborate a lot. The third is really go-to-market, where I think we should really build in the aspiration that startups beyond India need to think in terms of accessing global markets. So can we at a country level provide support for some of these emerging startups on go-to-market with respect to global markets? And thankfully today we have a lot of knowledge available within the Indian ecosystem in terms of go-to-market on and how do we access global markets. So if we really sort of think in terms of all these three elements, increasing R&D spend, really trying to create support for global market access, and beyond the talent improvement, providing cross-disciplinary training, I think we can certainly build this opportunity to make India really the powerhouse as far as AI and ML is concerned. Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to contributing in terms of building up the ecosystem.
Thanks a lot, sir. And I think the various three elements which you talked about is something which we'll have to adopt and learn and move forward and try to bring in practice when we create certain programs. Foundational technology, as you said, AI is a foundational technology, and adoption is something which is happening. And you also spoke about the cloud technology and how enterprise can be powered by AI solution. On the note of cloud technology, I would like now to get Mr. Shashidhar Reddy. Shashidhar Reddy ji is Vice President, Engineering and Business Head of Hyderabad Development Center of Qualcomm India Private Limited. He is also the Chief Mentor of Image Center of Excellence, which we have established in Hyderabad. I think with the great industry knowledge, and given the fact that the AI especially is moving, we heard earlier, where the high performance computing is what is driving. But the fact that the computing power is getting miniaturized, the fact that the network of sensors, the fact that there are going to be a huge number of devices out there, right, and the computing the computing power is something which is going to be required and which is going to be driver for huge bigger scale of adoption of startups, right? Now with that note, sir, your thoughts especially on how the chipset industry is driving and how we within Image are powering computer vision and AI startups through the world-class lab which we are going to set up there, so that these models can be run when it comes to the backside, on the edge side, as the devices will play a role. Over to you, Shashiji.
Yeah, thank you, Subodh, and it's a pleasure to be part of this panel. Thank you so much. Very good, observation and question. I think very knowledgeable sessions. I learned more than what I can hopefully contribute here. Definitely a lot of good presentations and a lot of good discussions so far. A quick thing, just to give you what, in my view, what we see as the past or whatever has been, or what we think about AI. It's mostly what we see is the cloud-centric AI, with AI training and AI inference in the cloud or in the central cloud. But I think as we are looking at more powerful devices with a lot of good processing power and a lot of compute power happening in these devices, that's one. And most of these devices are coming with strong CPUs, but there are also like a lot of research and a lot of capabilities happening, like the GPU and the NPU, really key things that are happening in many of the companies like Qualcomm, NVIDIA, and many other companies who are looking at really beefing up the processing power at the edge or at the device. I think that clearly shows that. And then the other part is the power efficiency of these devices. I think that's also a key thing. If you look at that, I mean, there is a lot of scope to look at not just having the AI centrally located at the cloud, but kind of a lot of that the AI being done on the device. A lot of the AI inference can happen on the device. At least that's today what we are looking at. A lot of the AI inference on the device, and a lot of the AI, maybe the training and the big data and the storage, the processing might still be in the cloud. But going forward or looking into the future, what we see, or what I kind of what we are discussing is, as the processing power increases and the power efficiency increases, and also also looking at the wireless standards coming up with the 5G, advent of 5G. The 5G is designed to see the massive IoT devices, the lower latency on 5G. We can really take advantage of that to kind of connect quickly. One is the wireless, the device, on-device AI, but also have some parts of wireless edge, or the intelligent wireless edge, which are connected to your by 5G to these devices or spectrum of devices. They bring in a lot of, the lower latency which the 5G kind of provides. Along with that, we can have the customized or the local parts of it in the edge or the wireless edge or the edge devices. Along with combination of the on-device AI powered use cases and the AI optimizations that can happen as well on the device. So I think going forward or looking into the future, I think the AI processing and the AI would be kind of a distributed model between the cloud, where it is longer latency, but will be used for the content, the storage, as well as big data or aggregated data or aggregated value in the cloud, and then having the low latency use cases, customized local value, and the content and storage distributed between the cloud and the AI edge. And a lot of the AI inference can be pushed into the on-device. So looking at the processing power, I think that's kind of where we are looking at, or where things can kind of go towards. I think this will help us process more data at the source and scale up and make sense of the digitized world. So if you have a simple example of a security camera, maybe just being a dumb security camera, taking all that and moving everything to the cloud and processing that and coming back. I think that has a lot of unnecessary data transfers, as well as a lot of bandwidth required and a lot of latency. Instead, you have an intelligent, a device, an IoT or whatever you call that, which can do a lot of that edge processing, and a lot of the AI, the trained models of the AI inference can be distributed to the edge or to the on device. And depending on what we would like to design, it could be on the edge, wireless edge, or internet edge, plus the on-device platforms. And that really helps in processing a lot of data more intelligently. And this will bring in a lot of enriched user experiences. I mean, that will definitely improve. And then there are a lot of new use cases, a lot of new verticals of new services can be done. I think this is very important for especially the automotive, which we are talking about driverless cars. But more than driverless cars, it could be the driver-assisted aspects, which driverless in India still may be far away. But a lot of driver-assisted data which can be processed, roadside units, traffic signals could be talked to, and CV2, the vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to some of these CV2X. I mean, a lot of that can happen by moving the processing not just on the cloud, but moving it closer to the edge and closer to the on device. I think having a distributed model will definitely kind of bring in a lot more enriched user experiences. So I think that's kind of my thought, and thank you for that. And just a quick 2 minute on the COE in Hyderabad. We have brought this up. I think this is one of the newer ones. We have, I mean, kind of focusing on the gaming and the CV/AI. Definitely, Hyderabad being the hub of gaming companies, I think that's definitely helped us build that startup ecosystem or nurture the startup ecosystem here. And obviously, the CV is, I would say, the crux. CV and NLP and few others is the crux of AI, I would say. And picking that and trying to incubate and trying to bring that aspect in Hyderabad definitely fits well with the ecosystem here, and looking forward to bring in a lot more companies. I think that our first cohort has been put in place. We have about 18 companies in the first cohort, and looking forward to working with them and connecting with many of you to help those companies as well. Thank you so much, and thank you, Subodh.
Thank you, sir. I think the perfect example of industry-government collaboration in which the COEs are being set up. And thanks for your thoughts, especially on how 5G is going to power up the new use cases, especially on the driver-assisted use case. And I'm sure a lot of other connected use cases around new technologies like narrowband IoT or LoRaWAN. So thank you, sir. Now with this, I think we have overrun our session already. So let me thank all my distinguished panelists for joining me. And now I would like to hand over the session back to Sri Saurabh Gaurji to carry out, I think, the next startup session. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Subodh. Subodh is the director in STPI who is spearheading the innovation and the startup ecosystem. He is the one who's been working very closely with COEs, and I, on behalf of MeitY, also thank all the mentors who have made it possible to participate in the session today on industry-government collaboration. But this, like Subodh said, we've already overshot a bit of time, but we have some very exciting videos, presentations ahead. And Abhishek Singh sir, with your permission, we can take half an hour. We will be only having some video presentations. We're probably cutting.
I will get it extended. We will extend the session by half an hour.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this largesse. And may I now request Sanjeev Malhotra ji, who is our from the NASSCOM side, who has been partnering with us and who is the co-creator of the industry partnership in NASSCOM, to take us through the journey of some of the startups that have been associated with both NASSCOM and STPI and have come out with phenomenal products under the mentorship of some of the mentors that we listen to today. Over to you, Sanjeev Malhotra ji.
Thank you so much, Saurabh ji. Thank you so much. After having heard, some of the interesting programs from the government side, from the industry leaders, trying to get on to some of the interesting products and feel of the work that is being done by the startups in the large COE ecosystem that has already been created. So I will, as you know, as our Pradhan Mantri ji says also, the road to the 5 trillion economy will go through a strong startup ecosystem. So I think next half an hour is going to have some interesting products and people to meet. With that, I will quickly launch into the session and not waste any further time. And what we have here is, flavor of startups. There's so many startups who are working. Few of them, have been handpicked from different segments, from agri, from mobility, from robotics, and so on. So with that, I will quickly get on to start with the agri-tech startup by the name AgNext. Which is represented by the founder here, Taranjeet. Taranjeet is pretty popular in the agri innovation circles. So welcome here, Taranjeet, and we'll quickly launch into your video, and then quickly we'll have a word from you at the end of it. So thank you so much, all the founders, all the 8 founders we have here. So I'll welcome all of you, and we'll get to you one by one, and starting with the AgNext first. So please play the video for AgNext.
Technology matters most when it is in the service of a compelling mission. Today, unlike any point of time in history, efforts for more sustainable and safe food systems are building across the world. Our future of food bets a lot on digitizing and bringing efficiencies across the food value chain. Efforts and innovations in pre-harvest and post-harvest have grown manifold. As efforts increase exponentially, a most basic fundamental question remains. What about digitizing the food itself? Assessing food has been the hallmark necessity of every financial transaction that takes place at any buyer-seller intersection. However, every year, as billions and trillions of food moves through its entire value chain, both buyers and sellers lose significant profits due to the assessment of the financial transaction either being extremely subjective or delayed. 5 months of a farmer's efforts are evaluated subjectively in 5 minutes, leading to loss of pricing and loss of incentive to grow quality food. Admixtures, adulterants, and lesser quality lead to loss of trade, averaging around 10% of trade value. Lack of predictive storage quality estimations lead to 20% of food getting wasted in our supply chains. Lack of instant quality at processing centers lead to average delays of up to 5 days and of 5% of yield loss. Most importantly, it leads to loss of trust of consumer. Today, businesses take financial decisions based on food assessments which are either done on field by people, by touching, smelling or biting, or in distant labs which lead to delays in decisions. We wanted to unleash technology which combines the power of science of labs and sense of people to provide disruption in food quality assessments which are instant, which are portable and which are accurate. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing SpecX technology. Been developed on deep learning sciences and deeper understanding of the business of food. For example, it is 100% portable, so we can take decisions on the field. It is made to deliver results in just 30 seconds. It gets commercialized at maximum of 2% play, much lower than the human errors on the field. And very importantly, it has zero consumables, so the costs are low and operations are truly field class. As a matter of excellence, we have developed technology to map every type of food that nature has to offer. We can do instant assessments of leaves like tea and tobacco, solids like wheat, rice, corn and barley, powders like spices, baby food and animal feed, and liquids like milk and oil. And that is just a start. Our chemical assessment technology has been trained using AI to analyze protein, gluten, starch, ash, moisture in various grains like wheat, corn, barley, mustard, etc. and key components like curcumin in turmeric or pepperin in pepper. We have further strengthened AI to analyze not only composition molecules like fat, SNF and protein, but also contaminants like palm oil, detergent and lies at fraction of a human assessment time. We have strengthened our Our mission is steadfast and clear. We want to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable food systems. We believe introduction of this technology accelerates incentives at the intersection of grower and food businesses and accelerates trust between consumer and food businesses. And we believe further that trust will accelerate demand and incentives will accelerate supply, accelerating further the need for sustainable food systems in our future of food. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our future of food. We want to apply our technologies and make the world food a tad bit more sustainable. And for that, we have our eyes on our goal. In 5 years from now, 5% of the world food will move through Qualix system, which provides incentives to stakeholders and trust to consumers. And by achieving that, we will be assured that we have built quality food for the billions and a better world to pass on to our generation next. That's it about AgNext. Happy to partner with organizations who believe technology matters most when it is in the service of a compelling mission.
Nice, Taranjeet. Looks like you have grown significantly over the last couple of years. If I have to ask you in 1 minute, what is the biggest impact you think you have created with your technology? Just name one thing in 30 seconds, and the next 30 seconds, what does it take to scale it further? So, for the I know I'm putting this restriction, but I have to do that in the interest of time, please. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev ji. In 30 seconds, what we have done is we have analyzed food in 30 seconds. I think that's the biggest thing we have done, because that's the slogan that we have to analyze everything about food. Because if you don't digitize food, there is no way that you can solve the entire agriculture and food value chain. And how do we want to scale up? We have started in key commodities, and we are looking for great partnerships right from the government of India, the states of India, and a lot of public as well as private organizations with whom we can spread this across. And we are pretty sure that this will empower farmers with the right incentive to grow, and it will empower stakeholders with the right incentive to profit. So that's how AI solves a larger problem for the food when you're focusing your physics, mathematics, and chemistry to the core. And that's what AgNext is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best, and hope to see you here again, next time, next year with something bigger and more success from you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So next, no sector is got more attention in the last few months than health sector. It's never been so important as it is in the current times. And as some of the speakers earlier said, technology is the only answer to the gaps we have. And with that, we launch into our healthcare segment with 3 startups participating in that. I'd like to invite Radical Health, represented by Ritu Maitra from Gurgaon, and next is Cerebra Science from Bangalore, represented by Neeraj. Third is Veda Labs from Gurgaon, represented by Vivek. So welcome all of you. What we'll do is we'll play your short videos for next 5 to 7 minutes. All the three startups will play together, and then we'll go on to you for a small chat.
And you have to be mindful of the time, because we already extended by 30 minutes. It's on 2:50 already. No.
Okay. So yes, we'll try to probably another 20 minutes. Huh? So please play the videos. 3 videos together, please.
There are nearly 1 billion patients of diabetic retinopathy, hypertensive retinopathy, and AMD every year. We see thousands of such patients who come into a clinic but we cannot do anything about them because they came in too late. Their diseases were very, very treatable if they came in early. But the problem is that we cannot produce enough doctors to see them all in their early stages. And that is where artificial intelligence comes in.
What we do at Radical is simple. We analyze retinal images for signs of disease. So using deep learning and computer vision, we can say in a few seconds whether or not the patient has a vision-threatening disease such as AMD, glaucoma, or diabetic retinopathy. We can do this at par with a specialist, but at a scale that only software can build. I'm a retina specialist, and I can maybe see 100 patients in a day. Our AI can see 100 patients in a second. And for each one of them, our AI can detect multiple clinical signs, provide a detailed report, and triage the patients effectively.
One of the problems with first generation of AI is that it is far too restrictive. They either work on one kind of hardware manufacturer or they just diagnose one disease. At Dishai hospitals, we see about 1.5 million patients per year. At that scale and volume, we can't afford to have these restrictions. Radical's solution is the only AI that can work with any camera, and it can diagnose hundreds of diseases at one go.
The way this works is simple. The patient comes in, gets eye imaging done using what we call a fundus camera. Radical is integrated with all major fundus camera manufacturers. It ensures that as soon as the image gets taken, it gets auto-uploaded to the cloud. And then it is analyzed for multiple clinical signs at once, with a detailed report available in a matter of few seconds. The report not only provides insights into retinal diseases, but gives a sneak peek into the chronic systemic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. This is in fact what we use to screen comorbidities.
During COVID times, when we started realizing that most of the fatalities were happening to people with serious comorbidities, Radical and I brainstormed about what we could do to help. Immediately through the authorities of Mumbai Municipal Corporation, enabled retina scanning through fundus cameras across COVID hospitals in Mumbai for early scanning of comorbidities, especially because of a prior experience of knowing that a vast majority of our population does not know about the comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, and other cardiovascular diseases, which were heavily influencing our mortality in Mumbai. For the last 4 months, we've been working with Radical to scan thousands and thousands of patients, diagnosing them with these conditions that could become life-threatening if not known and addressed. This way, we have been able to save thousands of lives so far, and our intention is to make sure that we flag all high-risk category patients, take precautionary care for them, and ensure that they come out of this pandemic in a safe way.
Sometimes people think it's strange how we diagnose diseases like hypertension from the eye, but it's really not. When you have hypertension, there are changes all over your blood vessels, but the retina is the only place in the human body where you can directly see the blood vessels without any invasive, painful, or expensive process.
So it takes a lot of data, expertise, hard work, collaborations with clinicians to get this right. But once you do have an AI, it just scales magically. And we utilize that scale to learn from the story of every patient. And we use that to build algorithms that can accelerate medicine.
Next video, please. Cerebral science.
So Neeta is an AI-enabled sleep solution that uses modern sensory technology along with yogic sciences to help you sleep better. Why is sleep essential for health? So it reduces stress. Better sleep reduces stress. Better sleep boosts your memory. It prevents depression and also improves your immune system. What is Nidra? So Nidra is a very smart and most advanced brain sensing headband that helps you meditate and helps you fall asleep. So we collect real-time data from our proprietary headband to create custom AI-guided audiovisual tracks using artificial intelligence and machine learning. Nidra improves sleep using yogic guided techniques that helps the brain slow down and go into a sleep mode. Our headband uses modern sensory technology like EEG sensors, PEMF, pulse oximeter, and bone conduction devices. We've put together more than 100 guided meditation tracks that helps you fall asleep, and our AI-guided system, learns your sleeping patterns and then provides you with an optimum sleeping solution. So you can track your sleep, you can score your sleep, you can add labels to your sleep data as well as export your recordings. Our AI engine for Nidra serves as a personal guide for the user. User input and data collected through the headband is processed real time to determine the guidance and solution each user needs for his or her optimum sleep. Nidra learns the user's sleeping patterns and intelligently selects from our carefully crafted Yoga Nidra database to suit the user's brainwave activity and adjust to the audiovisual signals to help them get into deep sleep and wake up naturally. Nidra is a solution that aims to teach your mind and body to systematically relax and sleep again. Nidra uses an ancient technique of yoga coupled with modern technology to help you release muscular, emotional, and mental tensions to prepare you for a journey of optimal sleep. We aim to guide the individual user access his deeper phases of mind by using imagery and vibrations to help him go into a hypnagogic state. In this state, a person is at full pratyahara, so that is total relaxation, where we can guide subjects into a state of deep sleep. Our AI engine acts as a virtual guru and a personal guide and adapts to a person's individual needs and specific brainwave activity to and thus provide the user with a tailor-made solution.
Hi, my name is Abhishek. I work at a software company, sometimes which requires me to work long durations, even at late nights. This affects my sleep, although I am uncertain of these effects, or as they call it as lack of deep sleep. Then I started using this Nidra headband for 1 month now, and I was able to see the positive difference in my sleep time and wake up time.
We've made an extensive research on our Yoga Nidra solution, where we've taken data from more than 600 nights of sleep, and we found out that improvement of more than 18% in deep sleep and more than 22% improvement in sleep efficiency ratings in our subjects. So Nidra is a very innovative, most innovative approach for sleep aiding in today's day and age.
To accurately determine the sleep state, we require multiple vital signals. At current, we are capturing signals from 3-electrode EEG and heart rate. All these vital signals are given as an input to a CNN-based deep learning model, through which we extract features and determine the exact state of sleep with a very high accuracy. Using these inputs, we will determine the sequence and the duration of rotation of consciousness based on yogic techniques.
The world as we know it is moving forward with technology. Due to this pandemic, there is a major challenge in front of us to solve, and we at Veda Labs believe that our technology can enable businesses to get back on their feet. In partnership with ASA Abloy, Veda Labs is announcing a COVID safety kit. A unique solution that not only tracks if a person is wearing a mask or not, but also measures the body temperature along with the entire floor occupancy with respect to the social distancing norm, thus allowing anyone and everyone to keep their environment safe.
what we are eating, how much nutrition, what is the calories intake that I'm taking in on a daily basis.
Such lack of information can have disastrous results, leaving you frustrated and completely throwing you off your diet goals. While there are apps that help you track your calorie intake, who has all the time to manually input so many details? Just so cumbersome. There has to be a better solution than this.
And when it comes to lifestyle, I think 70 to 80% is what we eat, how we eat, and rest 20-30% is all about the activities and physical fitness and all.
Presenting Calvary, an AI-based food recognition app that intelligently detects your food items and allows you to know all the nutritional values of your foods from just a photo on your phone. And it tells you a lot more about your food. It's so simple that literally anybody can use it. Just click and upload a photo of the food you're about to eat, and voila, all the details are here. Calvary is powered by our Food AI API, based on the latest innovations in deep learning and image recognition technology to quickly and accurately identify food items from thousands of cuisines across the globe. The AI engine's accuracy keeps improving continuously as new food images are added to the database.
The advanced technologies of AI and image recognition. We are working closely with Government of Uttarakhand, where we have done a 1-month pilot for the midday meal program. Through Calvary, the government gets the real-time nutrition tracking information. There's another feature in Calvary which basically gives an efficiency output of the entire midday meal scheme through anthropometric calculation tracking. Every 4 months, when you do height and weight of these kids, you get powerful insights that how the height and weight indicators are moving because of this nutrition which are being provided to the Government of India.
Users can also see their current and past food intake values and even compare the progress charts to maintain a better lifestyle. Calvary Wellness has also launched a web-based B2B platform, Calvary Pro, for health professionals to track real-time nutrition and macros of their clients. It seamlessly syncs with Calvary app and provides insight into nutrition consumption and lifestyle habits of their clients.
I have been associated and have been using Calvary, an online platform which is so convenient for my clients to use. They just have to click a picture and it gets down the micros and the macros of the food and helps them understand their food better. As a health professional, Calvary Pro also gives people like us the opportunity to see what our patients are doing and manage their nutrition and health conditions.
We intend to create a fully integrated wellness ecosystem where users can find everything related to healthy eating, right from dietitians and coaches to healthy food delivery.
So Calvary as your own personal nutrition monitor, which takes care of your daily nutritional value, daily calories, daily macros and micros in the easiest way. So happy Calvary.
Thank you. So Vineet, in next 30 seconds, promise everybody that we can lose weight by using your application. you will get few buyers here itself.
All right. So it takes only 3 to 4 seconds to track nutrition of any particular food, and as mentioned in the product also, that our image recognition technology, it works on any Indian food item. So we have approximately 25,000 foods which are there as the database. And not only just predicting the calories or not only just showcasing the nutrition macros and micros, but our smart engine is within the platform. It works on the predictive healthcare also. So basis on the food pattern of last 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, the engine can analyze what kind of.
I'll have to cut you off here. I mean, I think we will definitely want to use that thing. I think we can see the value. Your video was pretty self-explanatory. So thank you so much for coming here. All the best, and I'll have to move on to the next segment.
Thank you, sir.
But really appreciate your coming here and joining us from Chandigarh, Mohali, correct? So let's move on to the next segment of mobility. You know, the startups that are helping us drive safer. You know, the 2-wheelers and the 4-wheelers. So I will not want to take the suspense away and let the video talk about it. So welcome Ashutosh, Pradeep, both of you from the city of Pune, the automobile city. or at least automobile manufacturing city. So let's play the videos, please, for Liger and Shaman.
Reverse. When we started with the storyboard, we tried to imagine what can truly transform the experience of riding a two-wheeler.
We wanted to create a differentiated offering, and the idea of self-balancing felt extremely relevant. It would make riding so much more comfortable and also safer. After talking to a lot of users, we were convinced that this was a problem that we wanted to attack.
So we rolled up our sleeves and got going with some physics, maths, and a whole bunch of other stuff. After thousands of lines of code, several prototypes, and 2 years of dedicated hard work, we have achieved what we had originally set out for.
We have been obsessed with keeping our solution cost effective.
The technology that we have built will increase the overall cost of a two-wheeler by a mere 10%.
With a potential for disruption, self-balancing is well poised to tap into a new niche market. It will also enable the shift towards much safer and highly intelligent two-wheelers for eventual mass adoption.
You get extra bonus points for conveying your message in 2 minutes video. So did a good job. And Ashutosh, I didn't even know that it was, you put your unmute, I didn't even know that you could do this balancing of a two-wheeler, like that. I thought it was only fiction. So just talk 30 seconds that you want people to know about and where it has got a maximum impact. So 30 seconds for both of you.
Yeah. So what we want to do is, first step is we want to make riding safe and convenient for the end users. Post that, we want to build more and more advanced rider assist features, and learning from that, we want to build autonomous two-wheelers, which can power shared mobility or which can also power automated deliveries. So these are the two things that we want to achieve.
Great. Pradeep?
Yeah.
So our solution consists of an AI device which is plugged into the vehicles. So they share key insights about what is happening on the road and the vehicle performance. So eventually they create a network where OEMs and governments can join to the network and accelerate the development of smart cities and autonomous vehicles. Thank you.
All right, great. So both of you, I think, doing a great job for the road safety. And I think India needs a lot because we have a lot of road accidents here, which are due to driver fault. So thank you so much for coming here and good luck to both of you. So with that, we move on to the last segment and the last startup for the today's session, which is Peer Robotics, a Gurgaon company represented here by Tanya. Tanya, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah, Tanya. So I always get a chance to see your co-founder, a bright young people from a team from IIT Delhi who has done a wonderful job in creating robotics. Let's play their video and then we'll get a chance to hear from Tanya for 30 seconds at the end of it.
Hello, my name is Rishabh Agarwal. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Peer Robotics. Peer Robotics is a collaborative mobile robotics startup working on bridging the gap between how humans and robots work together. We are also a NASCOM incubated startup where NASCOM is helping us a lot in terms of expansion, access to state-of-the-art labs, plus connects to potential markets. So today's industries are going through this fundamental shift from predictability to dynamic operations. And with these changing demand fluctuations, they need to cope up with the changing requirements. An existing automation solution is not flexible enough to adapt as per those changing requirements. So what we are doing at Peer Robotics is we are developing these collaborative platforms that can learn from humans and can navigate in any internal environment without any external infrastructure change. So our robots are integrated with LiDARs and camera systems that avoids obstacles and understand the environment they are working along with and can autonomously move from one place to another using the integrated AI systems. But the key aspect is humans are a very important part of the manufacturing or warehousing lines. And it's important to make sure that whatever automation solution we develop, it's compatible with humans around. And our platforms constantly monitor how humans are going around the robot in real time, allowing to make sure that platforms can work right next to humans in the same operation line. Currently, we can take a payload capacity of 100 kilogram, and it's a very small compact size that can navigate around. And the biggest thing that distinguishes us is the fact that how these robots can learn from humans in real time. As you can see in this video, like you can simply start pushing the robot and the robot will start learning what the human wants to do with the platform. And they can repeat it again and again following that. But along with that, our platforms can also learn a digital twin. So we can simulate the entire environment and can make robots work in that environment so that even before deploying, we have a very concrete fact that how they are working in. So thank you, everyone.
So Tanya, you recently won Maruti Suzuki competition there for their open challenge. So tell us the biggest impact that you are making in their production line or any other production line, if you choose some other example or industry where your solution is deployed. 30 seconds.
Sure. So basically, I think the biggest gap till now in the industries is that robots and humans don't interact with each other. So there is a big distance between robots and humans. So what we are trying to do is close that gap. So basically, now robots can work with humans, and humans don't need to care about what a robot is doing and fully feel safe. So that's the impact we are making there, and I hope it works out well for them.
Thank you. All the best to you, and look forward to working with you more, even beyond this session. So I'm sure you will have you are a bright group of young people there doing a lot of good work. So with that, we come to the end of our startup session. So over to you, Saurabh, back to you. I hope I did justice to the time. So
thank you so much, Sanjeev ji. From eye-opening videos on presentations to ones which help you go to sleep, from the ones that help people navigate to the ones which make probably navigation by humans irrelevant. I think we've seen a fascinating spectrum of AI-driven solutions that are being made possible by the startups that are being fostered by STPI, NASCOM, C-DAC, and so on and so forth. The story is actually unending, and I believe we're just touching the surface of what is going to come in future. We've been trying to spruce up this ecosystem by running lots of these innovation challenges also in different domains and sectors. And MyGov as well as MeitY Startup have been at forefront of that, along with STPI with their Innovate platform. And I think that this collaboration will bring startups and us together as we move forward. So with this, without further ado, now I would conclude this session. I thank all the people who have been with me in this journey over last 2.5 hours. In fact, more than that now, 3 hours. We were already scheduled to be there 2 hours. But I think it was worth the time spent. And I thank Abhishek Singh sir for giving me personally the opportunity to be host and moderator for this session on MeitY Showcase, which is where we've been able to show what Minister of Electronics and IT is doing and will continue to do to support and propagate the AI ecosystem and the foundation technology behind that. So with this, I will close this session. Over to Abhishek Singh sir for any final comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Saurabh, and thank you for moderating it very well. It was brilliant. No. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was a great session.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek ji.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Omkar.
Thank you, Saurabh ji. Thank you all.